And so to the news, Alex. The headlines for the first quarter of 1799 are: in January, the threat of the Second Coalition saw France turn once again to the organizer of victory, Louis Carnot, and a strategic offensive into Italy, Germany, and Switzerland, and himself, Scherer and Jourdan. By the end of January, Naples had fallen, and their Bourbon monarchs forced into exile. The French proclaimed the Parthenopean Republic in its place at the end of the month, at which time in Egypt, Napoleon was ready to invade Palestine, and Ottoman forces were bracing to take the impact, as well as struggling to suppress the Wahhabi rebels in the Najd, with Kethudi Ali Pasha's army failing to take Kufuf and Mubaras. Remaining in the east, but now at sea, the British China fleet, carrying goods valued at £8 million, escapes capture by the Spanish at Macau. The circumstances of the so-called Macau incident remain unclear, with both sides claiming the other ran away before the first shot was fired. In British Indian affairs, driven by the injudicious proclamation of the French governor of Mauritius, and the wish of Richard Wellesley in light of the invasion of Egypt to drive all French influence out of India and replace it with the East India Company's fiscal and military monopoly, the British invasion of Mysore occurs on the 5th of March when Lieutenant General Harris of the Madras Army forwarded Wellesley's declaration of war to Seringapatam, modern Srirangapatna. On the 6th of March, General Stewart of the Bombay Army defeated the Mysores at Sadasir, and a second defeat in the field by Harris and the Hyderabad contingent at Malavelli on the 27th saw Tipu withdraw to his fortress at Seringapatam. In February, we saw the French invasion of Syria and Palestine bring 13,000 men to the walls of El Arish by the end of the first week of the month. Once the heavy guns had caught up, the fortress surrendered on the 19th. This brave defence allowed Ottoman forces precious time to prepare to meet Napoleon, and the garrison was released on parole. In March, the War of the Second Coalition officially began, with the first declarations of war against France being issued, an event followed 1 week later by the storming of Jaffa and the notorious massacre of the majority of its remaining garrison, who had been made prisoners of war. Its 4,500-strong garrison had been reduced to 2,500, the French claiming that the majority of these were parole breakers from El Arish as an excuse for the massacre. The end result being that Napoleon marched on from Jaffa, having put nearly its entire garrison to the sword. In Switzerland, we saw Massena mount an aggressive defence of the new Batavian Republic, and in Germany, the forces of Jourdan and Archduke Charles of Austria were drawing closer after the French crossed the Rhine. Back now to the east, Bonaparte, having been slowed by obstinate Ottoman garrisons all the way from Egypt and having famously visited the plague hospital at Jaffa, marched on to Acre, defended by 5,000 men under Ahmed Cesar, also known as Ahmed Pasha Ali Cesar, and British naval forces under Sir Sidney Smith. The siege of Acre opened between 17th and 18th of March. 4 days later, in Germany, Archduke Charles blunted Jourdan's advance at Stockach, but the French are not so badly defeated that they cannot withdraw and regroup, and indications tell us they won't be gone for long. Back to you now, Alex.